Hi, everybody. It's me, Katie Sargent from Work Design Magazine. Thank you for joining us for our second year of the NeoCon Talk series, and welcome to day 2. These talks are 20-minute conversations on a range of topics from a variety of speakers from all over the globe. Thank you to our sponsors Formica, 9 to 5 seating, Dauphine, Garden on the Wall, and Via Seating. Also, we have Beatrix Coffee and Pastries behind if you guys need a refuel, and Jordan from The Mart will be doing some fun trivia in between, so you guys can have the opportunity to get some vouchers to get some free coffee and pastries. Next up in the talk series is The Benefits of Failing with Andrea Alanonis and Giovanna Albuali. Welcome. I know, right?
Okay. Yeah. So
I guess we can sit together.
Yeah, together. Together is good.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea. Giovanna and I are both interior designers, trained as an architect, but interior designers at Jacobs. We work in the Boston office. So thank you for coming. We're going to tell some stories today. You know, we're all storytellers by practice. So
Yep.
Giovanna's going to go first.
Thank you, Andrea. Hi, guys. Thank you, everybody, for coming. So our talk today is going to be very casual conversation and sharing with you our personal stories of how something that once was considered failure, it was actually very beneficial looking from today's. And for me personally, it's one of the events that led me into interior design. So my story starts about 10 years ago. I was at the time working as an architect. I am educated as an architect, licensed as an architect, and never really ventured too much into interior design. And I thought that's going to be my career. However, around that time, I started developing serious issues with inflammations in my wrists on both of my hands. And you can think about it as carpal tunnel times 10. So it was carpal tunnel, front tendonitis, middle tendonitis. It was just very, very difficult to do anything, including drafting and doing everything that we as an architects do. And especially at the time, I was, I think, about 5 years into industry, so kind of mid-level, so doing a lot of drafting, and that was expected from me. So anyhow, long story short, I ended up having double surgeries on both of my hands back to back. And to add on top of it, I had a newborn baby that needed a lot of lifting and everything that included hands. So I was completely out of doing anything that required hands, including dressing myself, eating, taking shower, taking care of my baby for about full year, and then an additional year of recovery. So at the time, I thought I will never be able to do my career and do anything that architecture required. And somehow, through a lot of thinking about this failing and failure and what am I going to do next, I really don't know how, but I started exploring food design. And I couldn't cook, like a heavy cooking, but I started playing with raw vegetables and fruits. And I started making, as a part, almost like a therapy, these little mini designs of plates, cutting fruits, cutting vegetables, arranging them differently, and taking photographs, always same day, same daylight, and so on, and really enjoying it, looking at textures, colors, balance, lights, basically everything that interior design is, not knowing that I'm doing that. And I was posting my photos on social media, and it was very successful. Not as a career, just as a reaction from people seeing it. And after doing that for a while, I was actually published. One of my designs was published by this very famous food blogger from New York. She reached out, we connected, and one of my recipes, it's not really recipe, there is no cooking, but it's more of a food styling, if you want it. So anyhow, after doing that, I realized that I could potentially, and by the time I was already recovered enough that I felt I could try going back to the industry, and I tried with Jacobs almost 7 years ago now, with their interior design department, and that's what I've been doing ever since, and I love it, and I think I'm doing a good job. And I've really always come back to that horrible period where I was really thinking, yeah, that's it for me and my career, and that failure shifted my gears, and I'm happy that in a way it happened. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up in Massachusetts and went to school in Virginia. I graduated with an interior design degree, hit the ground running, and the economy tanked. So I started in residential, and nobody was walking in the door. And I was like, okay, well, this isn't sustainable. So I reached out to my network in Virginia and ended up getting a job at Jacobs in DC. But at the time, no one was building anything. I was like, I can't believe this is like my design career I was so excited about. I'm doing like workplace strategy. Nobody was doing any design and construction. It was all like programming, planning, people repurposing space, and no, what I considered at the time, from my schooling as interior design. So I tried to find some other creative outlets, and like while I was good at the programming, I didn't at the time realize that like just because you're good at something and something comes naturally to you, like you don't have to do that, right? So I ended up going to night school while I was working full-time to become a makeup artist. I was like just craving that creative outlet and thought that that's what I would be doing. So I ended up working for a place that did event hair and makeup, and she trained me on hair. So I was doing like 3 weddings a weekend and still working like Monday through Friday. But at the time it didn't feel like work because I loved it. It was my creative outlet, and that's what I had been missing from work. And around that time I was considering abandoning the interior design field because I was like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And part of it was the economy, and part of it was like I was in DC. It was federal. It wasn't high design, which I wanted, and I ended up wanting to move back home. At the time, our company had acquired a design firm in Boston, and I kind of had my eye on it for a while. And I asked, and it's the nice thing about working for a big company is, can I transfer? And they were like, yeah, okay. So I transferred back home, but I really wanted to open a salon and be a makeup artist, and I really did not think of interior design as my career anymore. So when I moved back to Boston, and then I got to work on some of the projects that network was doing, and we do a lot of life science work, and just our clients are doing like rare disease and cancer research, and I just fell back in love with design, and really loved my spare time on the weekends not doing hair and makeup. And I really I felt like I failed that because I thought the only way I could be happy was to run my own business and be like that, achieve that, because I just didn't think it was possible to work for a large corporation and have any control over like the people I work with and the projects, and they proved me wrong. And it was really great to be a part of kind of our group was small when I moved there, and be a part of growing the group, making it a place where people want to work. I have such strong opinions that our design industry is so negative sometimes with the expectation that people have to work 24/7, and I know that's going away slowly, but we really were bullish about we want people to stay. When the market tanked in 2007, 2008, most of the people I graduated with completely left the field because there were no jobs. And then the half that were left ended up having to leave because they wanted to raise families. So I really felt strongly that as designers, if we want to encourage people to stick with this as a career, we don't want them to have to choose between families and work, and we need to figure out how to have this work-life balance. And we work with an awesome group that we work really hard to keep that culture alive. And I really felt sad after I kind of made the decision not to go into makeup full time, and always pictured myself owning a salon and doing that. And it's funny how you can plan and plan and plan, and nothing ever turns out the same. But I think you have to try. I think that's the biggest thing is try out different things. You have to take the risk to fail. And it's okay if you fail. You tried it. How do you know if you don't like something if you're good at it if you don't try it? So that was, it's so much easier now to be like looking back and later on knowing like, okay, that failure was actually really good for me, and like I like where I am now, and I wouldn't have gotten to do this if I hadn't done that. But when you're in those really hard moments, you know, there's a lot of talk now about like being mindful and mindful practices, but that's so tied to failure too. In the moment, you have to see what everyone always calls it, like, oh, you're a glass half full kind of person, but like to see what the benefits are in hard moments for the future it's really hard to do. But if you're mindful and try new things and take the risk, then the failure is going to be a benefit instead of, you know, kicking yourself. And I think as, you know, designers, interior designers, architects, anyone who's in this field, we're just like really organized artists, and we're, I think, kind of type A, and most people are a little bit type A, I can admit that. So we tend to be a little bit harder on ourselves, and just try to give yourself some grace and try new things. Expand your network with people. We've got some Jacobs designers here from other Jacobs offices that we've never met in person, and we're all collaborating together and get to meet at the show, which is really fun. So that's where I am. I'm like so happy with the group I'm in now. We're doing a lot of life science work still. The group we've got a nice split of like, we've started with like 5 people when I transferred in interiors, and now we're 35 people, and being able to grow the group like to what not I wanted, but like what's going to be successful in the group and make people like want to be there was a huge plus for me. But I just didn't think like that was possible without owning your own company, but it is. You have anything to add?
Yeah. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was us.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
We'll be here if you guys have any questions too.
Thank you, Andrea and Giovanna. We will have a recording and a recap of each talk on workdesign.com. You guys can sign up for a free subscription at WorkDesign if you guys would like to get notified of when all the videos come out and when the recap is ready to be checked out. Our last talk of the 2024 series is at 3 p.m. and it's AI 2.0. It was a very popular component of our talk series last year, so we brought it back this year, and we're going to be talking about all things AI and what you need to know with Matthew Negron and Mark Schwimmel. See you guys in about 15 minutes.